Africa. It's where I was born and raised and where you missed the rain from. Ever since the age of colonialism ended, Africa has been working hard to modernize its economies and catch up with the rest of the world. But to do that, it needs lots and lots of new infrastructure. Roads, railways, ports, dams, cheesecake factories, you name it. Africa needs to build it. The only problem is that stuff all costs a shitload of money, money that most African countries don't have. But in recent years, many African countries have found themselves a new sugar daddy. China.
Over the last several decades, China has been pumping resources into Africa. The country has invested hundreds of billions of dollars across the continent, ranging in everything from transportation and infrastructure to real estate and technology.
Large African infrastructure projects would be viewed as risky by any traditional bank and would therefore struggle to get financed, but China's Export-Import Bank doesn't care. This bank will give low-interest or no-interest loans to African countries so they can build these trains or dams or other projects. China touts the fact that their foreign investment and aid is no strings attached, with no requirements on factors like respect of human rights or democratic elections.
We do not interfere in the internal affairs of African countries, impose our will on African countries, or attach any political conditions on economic aid.
That's right, baby. China has been making it rain in Africa. It's the most money anyone has sent to Africa without being guilt-tripped by a celebrity sing-along. And no strings attached, by the way. China doesn't care about your government or human rights or anything. They're basically the cool mom of international finance. Oh, you and your friends, you want to come party this weekend? Well, come do it in our basement with your child soldiers. We didn't hear a thing. So in many ways, this is a great arrangement for Africa. But maybe it won't come as a surprise that China isn't just giving billions of risky loans to Africa out of the goodness of its heart.
Many scholars suggest Beijing's true endgame in Africa is not solely financial, but rather political.
There is empirical evidence that China has been using these infrastructure investments to affect worldwide politics. It's been found that if an African country recognizes Taiwan as a country, they receive, on average, 2.7 fewer Chinese infrastructure projects within their borders each year. Conversely, if an African country votes overwhelmingly along with China in the United Nations General Assembly, they receive 1.8 more infrastructure projects each year.
At one point or another, 30 African countries have had formal relations with Taiwan. Now Eswatini is the only African nation to recognize the island.
Yep. That's the power of money right there. Enough of it can make you switch allegiances, change your principles, do anything. Hell, for enough money, you could probably get Africans to start saying that Africa is just one country. Yes, we are just one big country full of giraffes, huh? Where's the money, huh? Still, China has been really successful with this. Out of all of Africa, every country has broken off relations with Taiwan except Eswatini, which means Eswatini either really has, principles that they stick to, or they just haven't heard about the deal yet. Good for you, Eswatini, refusing that money from China. What? China's giving out money? Hello, Taiwan? It's over. Yeah, I'll come by later to get my things. And you might say, well, tough luck for Taiwan, but subordinating your foreign policy to another country is probably worth it if it means getting all this investment. I mean, think of all the jobs that these projects create in Africa. And it is true. These projects do create jobs. It's just that many of those jobs are going to China.
In Africa, China's estimated to have won almost half of all engineering procurement and construction contracts. But those contracts haven't come without controversy. The country's been accused of unfair labour practices in Africa, including bringing in its own workers instead of hiring locally.
The steady influx of Chinese companies and workers have fueled accusations the wealth and opportunities are not being shared with the local community.
We all do the railway work, but the Chinese constantly say we're the boss. We're the ones who run the show.
This is Ethiopia's main Chinese economic zone. This small business makes jeans. Everything is imported from China. Sewing machines, methods, and supervisors. The average salary of an Ethiopian worker is $56 a month, 10 times less than the average Chinese worker.
That's right. When China invests in these projects, they often send over Chinese workers to Africa to fill all the best positions, which isn't right. I mean, the best jobs shouldn't be given to a person because of where they're from. The best job should be given to whoever has the best answers in a job interview. So, what's your biggest weakness? And don't say working too hard. Masturbating in public? I like your honesty. You're hired. And even when Africans are employed, they're treated differently, sometimes even segregated from the Chinese workers. And that's wrong. I mean, we need Chinese and African people to spend more time together because of all the hijinks they'll get up to. I mean, we haven't had a Rush Hour sequel in like 20 years, guys. So China is gaining control over Africa's foreign policy and its best jobs. Not to mention, a lot of these projects put Chinese companies in charge of Africa's prized natural resources, especially precious metals, which is super important because those precious metals are in basically every piece of advanced technology these days. I'm talking everything: cars, appliances, Elon Musk, everything. So when you start to examine this relationship as a whole, it actually starts to look a lot less like a loan and a lot more like a new kind of colonialism. And that's before we even get to what happens if the loans aren't repaid.
Analysts have accused them of debt colonialism. There are fears China is making loans it knows states cannot repay.
Beijing may engage in what critics characterize as debt trap diplomacy, lending designed to force countries into handing over land, minerals, and strategic assets when they default on a loan.
To build this Belt and Road Railroad with Chinese loans, Kenya agreed to apply Chinese law inside Kenya and give up East Africa's largest port if it couldn't repay its debts.
Some countries are relying on gradually repaying the debts to China by shipping specific quantities of oil.
Sometimes the loans are repaid in natural resources such as cobalt.
As Africa's largest bilateral creditor, China holds more than 20% of the continent's debt.
Many African countries were already crippled under the weight of the money they owe China. Now, the coronavirus pandemic has made it nearly impossible for many to keep up with debt payments.
Basically, China has negotiated agreements with our African countries which are so egregious in benefiting China. They could take all of Africa at a fire sale price.
Ah, yes, the debt trap. It's like the thirst trap of infrastructure. China's just strutting around with its railroads hanging out. What is Africa supposed to do? Not hit the like button? I mean, say what you want about European colonizers, but at least they were upfront about it. Right, we're taking all your shit, and if you don't like it, you can go to the UN. Oh, wait, they don't exist yet. Biatch! But what China's doing is a lot like terms and conditions. Yeah. They know Africa can't afford not to take the deals that they offer. And then, when Africa can't pay it back, the Chinese are like, right, we're taking all your shit. And if you don't like it, read the fine print, biatch. So look, this isn't a great situation for Africa. And the rest of the world really needs to know what is happening here. Although if there's anything I've learned, it's that people don't really care about Africa. In fact, people don't care about most issues until it affects them personally or until they've seen like a movie about it. I mean, these days killers get exonerated because of something people watched on Netflix. Actually, maybe the only way to get people to care about Africa is if we turn it into a movie.
We're here for your airport. Hand over the keys.
We will hand you nothing.
You will never understand the ways of our land or our airport.
Too bad. Now it's China's airport. The runways, the terminals, the soggy tuna sandwiches that we made in 2019, it's all ours.
But the terms of this deal are unfair.
Well, then maybe you shouldn't have agreed to it. Duh.
We had no choice. Tell him, man. Stop daydreaming about Zendaya. Come on, man. China's about to take control of our airport. Focus.
I'm sorry. I focused.
China, you are taking advantage of Africa's plight, locking us into onerous contracts so that you can plunder our resources. Huh? And by the way, when I say China, I'm talking about the Chinese government. Huh? I'm not talking about Chinese people, of course. You know, nothing against Chinese people.
Of course. I mean, hashtag stop Asian hate. But what are you going to do about it? Huh? This is the best deal you're gonna get.
People can only be oppressed so long before those people eventually get tired of oppression and stand up. Am I right? Stop thinking about Zendaya, man. We're about to lose the airport.
I don't know why I keep doing it. Maybe she's got a plan for us. Maybe there's a deal, huh? It's not just daydreaming. You know what? Let me go and try and find this lady. You talk to this China guy, huh? I'll get back to you, huh? I have to find her.
I hope you get eaten by a big-ass worm.
Wait, is this part 1? How long is this movie?
Sorry, guys, that would have been better quality if I had a budget, but I didn't want to take any money from China.
So, what exactly is the big deal about 5G? Because you might think it's just 4G, but a little bit faster. But it's actually a lot faster. So fast, in fact, that it could change the world.
The new world of 5G technology promises to transform our lives, connecting millions of devices and enabling everything from driverless cars to smart homes.
Up to 20 times faster than the 4G most of us use now, 5G's lightning-fast technology will accelerate and interconnect everything.
To download a 2-hour film on 3G would take about 26 hours. On 4G, you'd be waiting 6 minutes. And on 5G, you'll be ready to watch your film in just over 3.5 seconds.
Damn. You could download an entire movie in 3 seconds. That's gonna be fast. I mean, we'll still spend 45 minutes trying to decide which movie to download, but once we've decided, we'll need to go to bed because we're tired. But tomorrow, 3 seconds, my friends. And 5G isn't just about download speeds. It's a game changer for everything. Like with 5G, you can have cities where everything communicates. Like doctors can perform surgeries from the other side of the world. Can you imagine a world where your videos never buffer, right? Your calls never drop. That would be amazing. Except, I guess now you could never fake a call dropping with 5G. Yeah, because that excuse is gone. You'd be like, I'm losing, you're breaking up. And be like, motherfucker, you're not breaking up. We got 5G. Be like, yeah, you're right. Carry on, grandma. Yes, my grandma is Samuel L. Jackson. So look, there's no denying the technology is great. But why do China and the US care so much about who makes it? Well, it's the same reason they care about anything. The Benjamins, baby.
When the US won the 4G race earlier this decade, it provided a nearly $100 billion boost to gross domestic product. And the stakes of the 5G race are even higher. If the US wins, it would create an estimated 3 million jobs and add approximately $500 billion to GDP.
That's right. If America wins the 5G race, that could bring millions of jobs and $500 billion to the country's GDP. $500 billion. You know how hard it is to get $500 billion? Like, you'd have to marry and divorce Jeff Bezos 5 times. And I mean, after the 4th time, he'd probably catch on. He'd be like, I think you don't love me. What, me, Jeff? And the fight about 5G isn't just about money and downloading Avengers like that. No, it's also about power. Because if you control 5G, you have access to everything people are doing online, which is everything. And right now, the best 5G technology is made by a Chinese company called Huawei. And because the Chinese company is Chinese, many governments don't trust how secure it's going to be.
Huawei may be best known to most people for making phones, but it's also a leading player in building the infrastructure for all our communications. Critics fear that allowing it to build 5G could enable the Chinese state to spy on or even switch off the flow of data we will all depend on.
Imagine that. If Huawei becomes the leading 5G provider in the world, then China can spy on everyone, which is terrible, because that's what America wants to do. Yeah, and I know you're judging, well, if America wants to do it, then how do they judge it? That's not the point, all right? You want to do it first. It's like when you cut someone off in traffic and then someone else cuts in front of you, you're like, hey, asshole, that was my move! But those are the stakes: job, money, and power. And I'm not going to try and bore you with all the technical details, but while America is developing its own 5G, China's 5G is so far ahead. Like, they're basically going to set the trends. It's like how back in the day, there used to be a fight between DVD and Laserdisc. Yeah,
And if you're wondering, what the hell is Laserdisc? Exactly, yeah, that's America's 5G. So this is a race many people are already saying America has lost. Luckily, and I can't believe I'm saying this, America is lucky that you have a maniac on your team who's willing to play dirty.
President Trump has signed an executive order banning U.S. companies from using telecom equipment deemed to be a national security threat. And that's a direct shot at China and its tech giant Huawei.
As the US clampdown on the company causes a major domino effect, the UK's biggest mobile network pulling Huawei from its 5G launch, while 3 of Japan's mobile operators have stopped taking orders or delayed the summer release of a new Huawei phone.
Donald J. Mother effing Trump. This guy could see America wasn't going to win, so he just got a crowbar and pulled a Tonya Harding on China's 5G. Just went in straight there. Yeah, the man might not know what 5G is, but he does know how to mess up other people's shit. Just in there. Bam! And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't actually blame Donald Trump because I don't know how else America can win this race. Because even if America does manage to cripple Huawei and China, it's not like America will suddenly have great 5G, right? You won't just have 5G overnight. Unless America just pretends that it does.
AT&T is putting a fake 5G logo on iPhones and iPads now. The company confirming to PC Magazine that the new icon's going to show up when users download Apple's latest beta version of iOS 12.2. But it's not really 5G. AT&T just changed the name for its 4G LTE advanced network to 5GE. The E stands for evolution.
Okay, guys, that's really sad. AT&T's just gonna lie and put another stick. Like, it's like you have a smart car and then you just tape Lamborghini on the side of it. Just check it out, man. I'm driving a Lambo now, 0 to 60 in 4 minutes flat. But seeing as it's a race that might be lost, AT&T might be onto something here because this is considered the new space race. So maybe America can win this race the same way it won the last one. Just fake it, baby. Russia. For decades, the Soviet superpower has been America's #1 rival. There was the Cuban Missile Crisis, meddling in the 2016 elections, and on Twitter they challenged Tom Cruise to an MMA fight, and nobody can figure out why. And just when we thought Russia's antics couldn't get any crazier, a few days ago, they pulled this move on the high seas.
We begin this evening with a dangerously close call on the high seas between a Russian destroyer and a U.S. warship. Those ships coming within feet of one another, forcing the Americans to take drastic action to avoid a disastrous collision.
This image capturing just how close the ships came to a catastrophic collision. As little as 50 feet, according to the U.S. Navy. This video from the deck of the USS Chancellorsville showing the Russian destroyer was so close you could see Russian sailors sunbathing on the deck.
Sweet Lord. Russians are hardcore. You realize these ships are about to crash into each other. American soldiers are like, prepare for breach! And the Russian soldiers are like, Dimitri, take off your shirt. Let's get suntan before we die, yeah. Don't want to meet Jesus as pasty bitch. But this is pretty crazy, man. This is pretty crazy. A Russian warship basically tried to ram into an American ship in the middle of the ocean. Right? And let's be honest, that had to be on purpose. Right? What other excuse is there? Do you know how big the ocean is? You have to really go out of your way to collide with someone. It's like walking into someone at Ted Cruz's birthday party. There's no one else there. You did it on purpose. Now the question is, where would Russia get the balls to play chicken against America in the Pacific? Well, maybe it's because they've got a new and powerful BFF.
Just as President Trump was meeting with America's most important allies in Europe, 2 of America's biggest adversaries were holding court in Moscow. It was a split screen tailor-made by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Putin hosted Chinese President Xi Jinping. Xi calling Putin his, quote, best and bosom friend, saying he cherished their deep friendship.
The two enjoying a leisurely boat ride in St. Petersburg yesterday.
That's right. Xi and Putin have gotten so close, they're even taking boat rides together. And not just a normal boat ride, Putin even helped Xi recreate that scene from Titanic. He was like, yeah, I'm king of the world! No, really, China's taking over the world! So it's clear, China and Russia are really hitting it off because you only take a boat ride with someone if you really, really like them or if they're enslaving you. But this is liking. Oh, and if you think Putin giving Xi a boat ride is impressive, wait until you see what Xi gave Putin in return.
The leaders' visit also includes some panda diplomacy.
During their summit, Putin and Xi showed off their friendship with a visit to the Moscow Zoo, where they welcomed 2 new Chinese pandas, a gift from Xi to Russia.
I mean, China likes you. One of the signs of that, good alliance and good feelings is to present you with a panda. Russia got 2.
That's right. China gave not 1, but 2 pandas to Russia, which is huge. Yeah, because 1 panda can't make babies. 2 pandas also can't, but there's hope. And remember, China only gives pandas to countries when they wish to be close allies with them, right? They actually call it panda diplomacy. This is a real thing, panda diplomacy. Not to be confused with Panda Express diplomacy, where I convinced them to let me use the bathroom even though I didn't buy anything. And technically, this is interesting, technically China didn't give Russia the pandas, right? The Russians just get to keep the pandas for a few years, yes. Which, by the way, applies to every panda in the world. Yeah, China owns every single panda at the world. So at some point, they have to go home. And I guess it's because China doesn't want the pandas forgetting their Chinese roots. Imagine if you let a panda stay in New Jersey for too long, huh? Yeah. Then when the panda gets back to China, it's like, hey, what the is this bamboo? Hey, how about some gabagool or a nice fettuccine? Marone. Anyway, I could talk about pandas all day, but the point is, China and Russia are getting super close. And the consequences for America go beyond boat rides and cute bears.
While Russia and China continue to strengthen their economic ties, they're also expanding their military cooperation. Chinese troops taking part in massive drills with Russian forces last year.
The level of cooperation between Russia and China has not been this high since the mid-1950s. They are combining forces against us.
They say Russia and China can coordinate cyber attacks and military moves that can knock U.S. forces off balance.
Oh, man. China and Russia teaming up against the United States? I mean, America could probably handle China or Russia, but not both at the same time. Like, imagine if in Rocky IV, Ivan Drago was fighting, and then Jackie Chan jumped in the ring to help him. Huh? That would be the end of Rocky. It would be done. There'd be no Rocky V, no Rocky Balboa, no Rocky Goes to Space, no Rocky and the Sorcerer's Stone, and definitely no 50 Shades of Rocky. None of those movies. Now, beyond geopolitics, the personal elements of this bromance is probably something that's going to bug Donald Trump. Because don't forget, he wants to be a part of this club. He loves those dudes. We know how much he admires Putin. He talks all the time about he and Xi Jinping are great friends. So to see his 2 besties make plans without him, that's gotta hurt. Yeah, and I don't think that he's dealing with his feelings in the most mature way.
The U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening new tariffs on another $300 billion in Chinese goods. This if President Xi Jinping doesn't meet with him at the upcoming G20 summit.
Wow, really, Trump? He's going to put tariffs on China if Xi doesn't hang out with him? That is so childish. If you don't come over to my house and play video games, then tariffs. And I get to be player 1 the whole time. And what is it with Trump using tariffs in every legal situation? Have you guys noticed this? In every situation, Trump is using tariffs now, right? Illegal immigration, tariffs on Mexico. Xi Jinping won't have a play date, tariffs on China. Melania won't hold his hand in public, tariffs on Slovakia. But Donald, I'm from Slovenia. I don't care, pronounce it anyway, still tariffs. So look, it's clear what's happening here. President Trump, you're feeling neglected by President Xi. But instead of lashing out, why not work on your relationship, man? You know, forget tariffs. Maybe talk to Xi. Tell him how you're feeling. And if that doesn't work, try and spice things up, you know? Yeah. Dress up as something you know China's really into. Yeah. Who could resist? China. Rising superpower and country that has held the world record for most Chinese people for 4,000 years straight. China's government isn't hamstrung by annoying things like democracy or human rights. So when they see a problem, well, they go after it a whole lot harder. For example, cryptocurrency. Everyone in the West is trying to figure out how to regulate cryptocurrency while respecting the free markets. And now China's response is, we have another idea.
Cryptocurrency is now illegal in China. Today, China's central bank declared all transactions involving Bitcoin and other virtual currencies illegal. It's the latest effort from China to block the use of the unofficial digital money. Chinese officials say cryptocurrency disrupts the financial system and leads to money laundering and other crimes.
Man, you know crypto's got issues when the Chinese government thinks it's too shady. Yeah, they're like, everything needs to be by the books when we're selling authentic Larry Vuitton bags. And look, it is true. Crypto is used for crimes and money laundering. But on the other hand, people who are not criminals have also invested their savings into it. And China just got rid of it one day without any warning. Bam, it's gone. You know, this reminds me of the time I came home from school and my mom had thrown out my entire porn collection. Wait, no, I don't want to say porn collection. Let's do it again. Let's do it again and say baseball cards. Yeah. When my mom threw out my entire baseball card collection. Yeah, that's better. It was a huge porn collection though, man. Oh, man, I miss it so much. But China isn't just worried about how its citizens spend their money. It's worried about how they spend their time. For example, people in China spend more time playing video games than any other country in the world. And now, the Chinese government is pulling the plug.
Kids in China will have their video game time greatly reduced, not by mum and dad, but by the Chinese government. Anyone under 18 is now limited to just an hour of online gaming per day on weekends and holidays between 8 and 9 p.m. It's all part of Beijing's crackdown on gaming addiction.
Whew. Oh man, I gotta say, this is very short-sighted of China. Only 3 hours of video games a week? I mean, yeah, maybe your kids will get more fresh air and exercise, but they're gonna grow up having no idea how to catch a Pokemon. A few years from now, those things are gonna be overrunning the cities. The Pokemon are everywhere! They're everywhere! There's something we gotta do to them all! But what is it? What are we gonna do? So, this is rough news for Chinese gamers. Although, this is great news for me. Yeah, looks like you won't be beating me in Warzone tonight, Wei Zhang, because you're not allowed to play until the weekend. Guess I'm gonna get my ass beat by a South Korean teenager instead, bitch! Now, of course, if you want to limit kids' screen time, you can't just stop at video games, right? More and more, they're spending their time on social media apps, like TikTok, which is why China is bringing down the hammer on that too.
Another tech crackdown for kids in China. Douyin, that's China's version of TikTok. It's limiting users under 14 years old to only 40 minutes a day.
The youth mode will also restrict kids under the age of 14 to use the app between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. The app will be inaccessible to those users outside of those hours. It applies to all users who are registered with their real names and age.
Wait. Douyin is China's version of TikTok? I thought TikTok was China's version of TikTok. Am I the only one who thought this? But this is bad news for Douyin. I mean, if kids can only be online for 40 minutes a day, then the only people left on your app are going to be old people. Let's be honest, you don't need 2 Facebooks. And look, I'm not one of those people who thinks China made TikTok so that they could steal everyone's data and spy on their dance moves. But you have to admit, it is a little weird that they got the rest of us addicted everywhere in the world, and then they turn to their kids like, okay, you guys stop now. Why? Shh, we'll tell you later. The rest of us are just there like. But aside from video games and social media, there's another obsession that China is particularly nervous about, and that's celebrity fan culture. Yeah, you know how celebrities all have these rabid, devoted fan bases like the Swifties or the Beliebers or the Bayhive? I mean, I also have my own fan group. Yeah, they call themselves the Trevor Noah fans. I mean, it's not a great name, you know. I suggested something more fun like the Noah Mads or the Dimplings, but they just got mad and doxed me. It's a very toxic community. I need to do something about it. The point is, China is worried about how out of control these groups are getting. And so they're clamping down on that too.
China is cleaning up its entertainment industry, clamping down on what it calls chaotic fan culture.
Millions of young fans loyal to famous actors and singers are a lucrative force in China's entertainment industry. Now, celebrity fan clubs have become the latest target of government regulators. Authorities have banned activities which encourage fans to spend money on their favorite stars. Online celebrity rankings and discussions about their salaries are also prohibited. State media newspaper, The Global Times, says fan clubs could be used to manipulate minds and split Chinese society.
Whoa, 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 people. If you ban the population from obsessively following celebrities, how are people supposed to know what to buy, how to look, or whose testicles are really swollen? Do you know what you're doing here? I mean, look, I also get it from China's perspective. You know, every minute Chinese people spend idolizing celebrities is a minute they're not spending idolizing the Communist Party. So Xi Jinping can either ban them or compete with them. Now, let's be honest, competing with them is not gonna work.